Alex hasn't left his computer for days. All he does is type, and then type some more. It's like a disease. Day in, day out, nighttime, daytime, he's typing away. Looks deadly boring to me. It can't be good for him. I walk in the early morning, dawn peering in, and he's there typing, ghost-like, with his crazed, angry fingers attacking some sort of inner monster living in his machine. It can't be good for him. He was never much of a looker, from what I've gathered. Well, Sonia put it in less, shall we say, friendly way as she was leaving. But now he looks positively sickly. Gaunt cheekbones, bleary eyes, and a pasty complexion like he's not seen sunshine since the summer of '09. It can't be good for him. One needs some exercise to keep agile, fit and sturdy. Look at me. A fine specimen I am. Everybody says so. That is, the people who've bothered looking at me and stopped to say hello. Some others, they pretend to look away or look at you from the corner of their eyes like they haven't seen you, but I know their game. They're playing it like they're ignoring me because they got burned a few times when I was the one who ignored them. I can't blame them. My love is fickle, and not everyone is prepared for that. Mind you, I'm only looking out for number one here. When I was a kitten, I would go purring in everybody's ear. Now I know better, and I'm more discerning. That is, I thought I was, but what's gone down with Alex and Sonia is making me reconsider whether I dropped my fleas in the right joint. When Sonia left, she didn't even say goodbye to me. Well, I lie. I was actually the first to know she was leaving him. She pulled me close a couple of nights before the big showdown and told me she was quitting the party, going her own way, dumping his sorry fat ass, as she put it. Some of it I didn't understand. I thought people lived two and two together. That's certainly the case in every house on the street, as far as I know. Well, apart from that one where Mr. Maxwell is now alone, the one who gives me the fishy treats. His wife first started leaving them out for me, but then, well, I say she left them out for me. It might have been for some other pal, but if that's the case, I beat him to it. And what can I do other than look out for number one? Now that she's gone, Mr. Maxwell gives me the treats personally, and I even let him stroke me behind the ears because, well, how can I put it? I like it. I'm grateful to him for having maintained this tradition of his missus following the unexpected departure of the beloved. Anyway, I thought people lived two and two together until one of them clocked it, as I said, having only ever witnessed that, but I guess that's not the case. Sonia just left, and she's not dying, although that might well kill Alex, the way he's going about it. So that blew me 50 yards back. I'd heard of humans getting rid of cats. I know a few bastards who've gone through the unfortunate experience. But I always thought a human stuck to their human. I guess I'm still young. It's what they would call a paradigm shift. Not that I enjoy showing off, but I want to make it clear, despite my disposition and pugilistic reputation in the neighborhood, I'm not just a brute. Alex explained to me once what a paradigm shift is. That was back in the day when he would talk to me and not just to faces popping up occasionally on his computer. He said to me, people used to think the earth was flat, but then some dudes did a few calculations and worked out it's round. That was a paradigm shift. I thought, are they a bit thick? The earth is neither flat nor round. It's crenulated. It's got lots of stuff sticking up and going back down. That's why it's so fun to jump up trees and climb down again. That is, when you can. Not like old Sticky, the aptly named, who stayed up there for hours that time the firemen had to come around. But that's a story for another day. Then, because sometimes Alex can tell when his explanations haven't been entirely convincing, and that the argument is not won, he added, I used to think that time was linear, going from here to there. But now I think it's circular and goes back around and around and around. That was a paradigm shift. Now, this one made more sense to me because certainly dinner time seems to be coming back around regularly, and that's a bloody good thing if you ask me. Anyway, I seem to gather that a paradigm shift is when your world is rocked upside down, and for sure I'm going through one right now. Humans don't stick 2 by 2 forever, and the particular application of this is that Sonia has left, without saying goodbye, and that Alex has just spent his time since then practically ignoring me. And that's no good for number one. I say she didn't say goodbye, I should specify, to me. She shouted plenty of goodbyes to Alex, sometimes with words I'd never heard before, even coming from that thing in the wall that sometimes speaks out. She also threw a lot of things around, and at that point I took shelter on top of the bookcase, because I don't fancy myself joining Mrs. Maxwell as collateral damage. Anyway, if I have to be honest, I thought her exit a little overdramatic. She'd told me days before that she was leaving, and then suddenly, when she came around to doing it, she got really angry out of nowhere. She can't too well blame it on the heat of the moment. She'd premeditated it. But it's fair to say I'm unlikely to take her side, seeing as she left without one last stroke or even one last look. And now Alex is... Well, how is Alex? Not in a good way, I guess. I was always Alex's cat more than Sonia's, or rather, to use possessives the right way around, Alex was always that little bit more mine than Sonia was. I don't know, there was always a little quality of reserve on her part. Towards me, I mean, because she was always anything but towards Alex, who always knew absolutely minutely in the most intricate detail where he stood with her. She didn't keep her cards all that close to her chest ever, that's for sure. Well, up until those last 2 days. We cats tend to keep our cards close to our chest. It's funny to say it like that when you think of it in the absence of prehensile thumbs. But it's true. It proves us to be very skilled. But all joking aside, I'm better off with Sonia leaving than Alex. It's just that my feelings are a little hurt. Her last glance towards the room wasn't for me, but for the moronic bellend whose babies she still wanted only a few months ago. I hope the next bellend she secures delivers better for her. What worries me the most is Alex. What can I do? All he does is type and type and type away. It doesn't seem to do him any good. I've seen him type before, where it did him good. He would type for a couple of hours, cuddling me every once in a while, and afterwards he would look rosy-cheeked and happy, and he would talk to the faces that come up on the screen and laugh and joke with them. Now he types and types and types, barely ever stopping, not even to stroke me or acknowledge me in any way, and his eyes look like they're about to pop out of his skull, and he even sometimes nearly forgets to eat. Who does that? Even worse. He's come dangerously close to forgetting to feed me. This is very bad for my business. Of course, I care about his well-being, but one has to think about, well, number one, so I can't let this go on for much longer. Sometimes I go and rub myself against his ankles to remind him I'm here, but he only very occasionally notices. It might be shameful to admit, but I even tried jumping on his lap once, foregoing all sense of dignity for the sake of shaking him out of his torpor. He gave me a couple of strokes and forgot I was there, ignoring my sacrifice. When he goes to the kitchen to make coffee, I go with him and tell him I wish I could make coffee for him, that I'm there for him, that I'm his buddy, but that on account of the lack of the appropriate digits, I can't really do much for him in that regard, so I will happily cuddle him and purr for him instead, but it's all to no avail. He tells me he doesn't know what I want, to stop meowing, like he's even forgotten how to understand me, like his ability to just get me, like he used to just get me when Sonia was around, has completely disappeared, vanished in a puff of smoke. All I hope for is that this state of affairs won't last. One day, this bumpy road for the two of us will end, and we'll be the best of pals again, hanging out in the garden together watching the blueberries grow. If time is circular and the earth is round, one day it will all spin back to its point of equilibrium, and Alex and I will be happy together again.